This is a Main Hustle Media podcast. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Jackie O and you're listening to Militantly Mixed.
Yo, this is Sharmane from the Single Simulcast. And when I'm not making you laugh or making up parody songs, I'm kicking back, listening to Militantly Mixed.
Konnichiwa, what's up, cousins? Welcome to Militantly Mixed, the podcast about race and identity from the mixed race perspective. I am your Sir Auntie, Sharmane Fury. And even though we are on hiatus for the month of October, I wanted to come back for this IG Live to introduce a short film that is crowdfunding right now by a fellow cousin of the show. It's called Disarm. It's an animated short film following the Atlanta spa shootings. A young woman struggles with intersecting identity issues when a hate crime unfolds on her train ride home. This is written and co-directed by Lauren Lola, who you might remember from episode 253, Meet the Authors, for the author panel at Mixed Asian Day. And joining us today will be Lauren Lola, Derek Lazo, and George Nelson, all from the production team of the show. So I'm just waiting for everybody to request to get in, and I will accept them because I see y'all are here. Okay, here's one request. All right, so let's try one more time. Okay.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Sharmane.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm just waiting for your teammates to join.
Okay.
I did do a little brief intro, but while you're here and we're waiting, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us why we're here?
Yeah, so I'm Lauren Lola. As Sharmane said, I was on a previous episode, Militantly Mixed, last month ahead of Mixed Asian Day. I was introduced as an author then, but I'm also a screenwriter, and we're here to talk today about a short film I wrote that is in pre-production called Disarm.
Yeah. I see that George and Derek have waved. I don't even actually remember how you're supposed to invite yourself on one of these things. Oh, okay. I got them. Hold on. There we go. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, George.
Hey, how's it going,
Derek.
Lauren?
Hey.
Good.
What's up, Derek? The team's all here.
The team's all here. Welcome to Militantly Mixed, y'all. I have already met Lauren, but I haven't had a chance to meet you, George, and Derek in person. I did give a little intro already. Do you want to just do a brief intro for each of yourselves, and then we'll get into our conversation?
Sure, I'll jump in. Great to meet you, Sharmane. I'm so excited to be part of this. I got a chance to learn about you guys through Lauren, so it's been a really cool thing to learn about your podcast and hear a few episodes. I'm George Nelson, and I am the director of photography and animation for Disarm, and I'm stoked to be here to talk about our project.
Great. And
I'm
Derek?
Derek Lazo. I'm co-directing and editing this project, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, I am really glad to have y'all here. Any opportunity I have to highlight something that's being produced by cousins of the show, I'm really happy to do. First, before we get into it, I just want to ask Lauren, what really made you sit down and write this piece? Is there something besides the actual events that occurred in Atlanta? And during that time, there was a lot of anti-Asian things happening in the news. Was there something very specific that drove you to write this script?
Yeah, so the attacks that happened in Atlanta were kind of like the turning point for anti-Asian hate, right? Like they've been happening for a year by that point, but that was really the one that put a mainstream spotlight on it. It took a massacre for that to happen.
Right.
And I was feeling a lot of feelings, as were many others in the community. But I think it was maybe a little different for me as someone who is Southeast Asian, rather East Asian, and someone who is mixed race. typically when we think of Asian Americans, more often than not, the first face that comes to mind when we see is a monoracial East Asian. And so I often felt like I have to advocate for myself that the fears I've been feeling around it were real. And then to feel like there weren't any conversations being had with family members who maybe weren't fully aware of what I was feeling at the time is what ultimately led to me writing the script for Disarm.
Right. As a fellow mixed Asian, although I am a mixed East Asian, I do always get frustrated with how often, not frustrated might be the wrong word. I don't think I always need to see just an East Asian story to be part of the Asian collective. I grew up with Asians of all kinds, and it's always a version of the East Asian story that is told, including in mixed Asian identity as well. You always get the white and East Asian
Yeah.
perspective more than anything. And during, I mean, anti-Asian hate crimes have happened in this country for over 100 years, but you almost always see Southeast Asians, South Asians, Central Asians downplayed in the story, or that they don't have a part of the pie to be frustrated, upset, or want to fight against. So I'm really glad that you're telling a story from that perspective, and that you're so heavily involved in including your Filipino roots into the story specifically. And with that, I want to ask Derek and Lauren. You both have the shared Filipino roots. You both have the shared Filipino martial arts background as well. Is that true?
I think
Yeah.
Derek more so than me.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about how your shared culture and roots and martial arts and everything plays into your relationship producing this project?
Derek,
Sure.
do you want?
Yeah, I can start. I started doing extreme Filipino martial arts probably around 12 or 13 years old. I grew up in Stockton, California, so my parents had me involved in that. And I also did some dancing with the Sapagita dance troupe in Stockton. So it's kind of cool way to connect to our culture. Um, and like my parents didn't make me learn Tagalog, um, and but they spoke it in our house, so I can understand it. But it's been a challenge to learn how to speak it. So I've been connected with my culture in that way, and I kind of stopped doing martial arts for a bit, and then I returned back to Eskrima as an adult, and I actually trained in the Philippines for a couple weeks with some masters. So it was as an adult going back to it. It was definitely fulfilling to see this side of the culture and mix it. That's pretty much my relationship to the culture. And I'm trying to be more involved in the community in the LA area.
All right. Lauren and Derek together, is the plot line that includes martial arts something that you guys discussed together, or was it more heavily you wrote it, Lauren, and it's just going to be in the script, in the film?
It was there from the very beginning. Like I
Oh,
already knew it was going to include Filipino martial arts in it.
okay.
And so when Derek and I met, the fact that he already has a background in it just feels kind of perfect because like he understands where I'm coming from on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that, at least from my experience with FMA and Screama, is that I want to make sure that it looks right and it feels accurate. With all parts of the story, we really want it to be authentic in every way possible, and that means working with stunt choreographers so that George has really good references. That's what we're doing.
Mm. As for the animation, one, how are you animating the martial arts? And two, style wise or design wise, is that something that you collectively all discussed, or is it more coming from your design and animation background, George?
Yeah, well, I love working with teams, and Derek was the one who kind of told me about this project and shared the script that Lauren had written. And what made me very attracted to it was that it came from a very real place. I loved how Lauren was using the martial arts, not just as some type of point of interest, but also in the storytelling aspect for the character. And this will actually be one of the first kind of ways that I'm using an action sequence in animation. So that was also a big draw for me as well. Uh, as for the visual of it was really cool because my team just really believes in the work that I do. And we talked a little bit about different style influences. One of the great ones that we looked to was Legend of Korra, which is a fantastic animation that actually the other day I was talking to Derek about how there was this great kind of behind the scenes look at how they really focused on the authenticity of capturing these different styles of martial arts. So that's a big place for me in terms of my inspiration.
Will it be difficult to animate martial arts action?
I think 2D animation that is hand-drawn is difficult in general, but I'm always up for the challenge. Throughout this project, I've been writing little notes as I'm working on it. And one of the things that I was thinking about was how, I'm a huge animation enthusiast. I really only got the chance to start my journey in creating short films at the start of the pandemic. And one of the reflections that I had was hand-drawn 2D animation is so important because it is done through the hand. It comes from a very real place. It comes through experience. In this era where we've got AI doing a lot of that type of work, it gave me this reflection that we have to do these things by hand because we're telling real human stories. And it's not just picking these, established action sequences that, artificial intelligence does. We're working with these collaborators and telling the story as Lauren, writes into the story, that these emotions come out through the martial arts and they inform us to more than just what's on the page.
For the whole team, how are you balancing like the rhythm, the tension of what you're telling in the story, and the emotion in that's written in, that's going to be edited in, that's going to be animated in? How are you working as a team to put that all together?
Yeah, we'll let Lauren start because I think Lauren is the
Oh no,
foundation. We'll start with
maybe
that.
George should take this one while I think of an answer.
Sure. Well, I mean, like I say that because Lauren's work on the page is the foundation, and I know that myself and Derek, we read it, we interpret it, but that's kind of like the blueprint for where we take the story. I know myself, it's been a great collaborative effort. When we read a piece of media or see it in, maybe a graphic novel form or animation or live action, the story has to be told in different ways. And I appreciated early on, I was like, when I read it on the script, I was immediately attracted to it. And as I began to storyboard, I was like, could we implement these type of things so we could set the tone? And she was really receptive, and the script has grown in that way. And you, Derek, you've been really great about kind of finding that rhythm in terms of how do we reveal these characters or this environment, this landscape.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good about discussing. We've been having pretty regular meetings about the film, especially with the campaign happening. But we've really discussed it in pretty thoroughly. That was one of the first things that I talked about with Lauren, that if we're going this animation route, we're going to talk about everything, right? Like the background of the characters, stuff that we don't even see in the film, that we talk about that stuff.
Right.
So that we really know the characters, and whether it's how they move or what they're thinking in that moment, like that drives their reactions on the page.
Yeah, I think it's actually. Can you repeat the question for me?
I was asking about like how are y'all as a team balancing the rhythm, the pacing, the emotion alongside the tension of the topic that you're tackling.
Right. I think because of the fact that we know we are addressing very serious subject matter, that we're keeping that front and center, and that everything else, I guess, will balance itself out. I mean, like, I'm a co-director, right? So, like, it's not just me who's directing it; it's also myself and Derek, and even beyond that, George is one of the producers. So it's a collaborative effort. I have my perspective going into it as a writer, but then everyone else will bring their own elements to the table that, sometimes it might land, sometimes it might not.
Right.
But so far, we're making good strides in finding a balance in just what the overall tone, or like how the overall tone is going to flow. I really hope that answers your question, because I'm not sure what I just said.
No, you did. You did fine. So your main character is her name Rhea?
Yes, her name's Rhea.
How much of you is in Rhea in the story?
It's so funny because I showed a picture of her to my mom, right? And I said, "Why does she look like you?"
We write ourselves, don't we?
Right. I mean, to be fair, I did not see a lot of people that looked like me growing up. So
Fair.
it's like I kind of have to make up lost time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I wrote this in the that Rhea is ultimately my vehicle for exploring this topic and these feelings that I had that stem from a very event. And even though the events portrayed in the film are not something that happened, like that never happened. What happens with Rhea?
Right.
The feelings are real.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to find a way to channel them while still being able to express a message.
Right. One of the things that y'all talk about in the Seed and Spark breakdown for the film is the aspect of the white parent of a mixed Asian child and how sort of disconnected they are in participating in the feelings of their mixed children when something like this happens, like the shootings in Atlanta or Monterey Park or everything that we've experienced. How much of that do you want to have across? Is there something specific from a white parent of a mixed Asian child that you want them to get out of this film also?
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately like one of the two driving forces for me writing is that I didn't feel like I had that kind of support after the Atlanta thing happened, and I really could have benefited from it.
Mm-hmm.
And in speaking to other mixed Asians online who have white parents, it was a very similar case where it's like their white parents did not check in on them after the shootings.
Right.
And yeah, and I was like, there's something to be said there, both for mixed Asians and for Asian adoptees as well who are adopted white families.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that, yeah, NBC did a really good article at the end of 2020, I think, that really talks about this in depth, which is that, these are your children, yes, but they're also Asian. Their experience is not going to be the same as yours, and you can't pretend like it doesn't exist. You have to be aware of their experiences.
Yeah. That's actually something that comes up quite a bit on Militantly Mixed about people who do have a white parent, how much their white parent just thinks that if you don't address it, it won't be that big of a deal. And so they tend to not be present. I'm not speaking generally necessarily, although it seems to be the most frequent thing that comes up on my show when it comes to a white parent of any mix. They feel like you're of me, so you're just like me, and not acknowledging the fact that we walk around brown, we walk around presenting more obviously what our brown is than what maybe our white parents might be if we have them. So finding ways to communicate with them so that they can be present. This sucks and it's not fair. That we need to teach them how to be present for us. And through something like Disarm, this might be a tool that other mixed kids can bring to their white parent, hopefully, and say, "See, this is what I need. This is what's happening. These are the feelings I'm having, and I need you to be present for it."
I did eventually explain to my mom at one point where I was saying, like, in this period, because it was during COVID, right? I was telling her, like, you're going through one pandemic, I'm going through two.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's really good point when you start to think about how many perspectives as an intersectional person you're coming at any particular event in your life. That's great. So we are crowdfunding right now. That's why I wanted to bring you on here, right? You have about 21 days left in your Seed and Spark campaign. I think last time I checked, you were at about like 18 or 19% funded. Let's talk a little bit about crowdfunding and how we can get some of the people that are listening today and the people that will hear this on the show as well motivated to chip in a little bit. First of all, does Seed and Spark pay out even if you don't hit your full goal?
So what Seed and Spark does that's different from like Kickstarter is that if you reach 80% of your funding, you're green.
Okay.
So even if you don't reach the full, it's at 80%, then you're good.
Okay. So we got to get you at least there, but hopefully 100% and beyond if we can, right?
Yeah. Ideally, we would like to reach 15K, but if we reach 12K, then that's also just as good.
Okay. And what do you need from people to get them to be more engaged, whether they can donate $1, $5, $10, $20, $100, or they can't at all? What are you hoping from audience members that might be interested in your film but might not be able to help funding? What can they do to support?
Right. I mean, in a perfect world, ideally, we would love if you can leave a pledge, even for something as little as $10 is always a big. But we know that not everyone can find that. So what you can share it with your network, whether it be social media or even better by how you can get your word spread if you share it. And again, I'm coming on the right, but this is a story that I haven't been told at all really anywhere, and so the fact that this is during American History Month, I feel like this is the time to get this going and to spread the word.
Right. One appeal that I always like to say when it comes to sharing, and this is also when I'm trying to get people to share my show as well, is that sharing, someone might notice, but sharing with a story behind why you're sharing is the thing that's going to get people to actually consider it. If I, as a fan, am posting about Disarm, I'm going to say, as a mixed Asian femme who lives in the intersections of all different types of identities, when these Asian hate crimes were happening so close together after the pandemic and everything like that, these are the feelings I was having, and I don't see my story being told anywhere. But this film might possibly be an avenue in which that story is being told, and so that's why I'm going to encourage people to support it. A lot of people can hit the repost button, they can hit the share button, and that's great, and it might help, but really telling a personal story will be the difference between someone maybe contributing or not. So I hope that anybody who's listening or watching this today will consider not just sharing it, but also telling people a very specific story to encourage them to dig in. And again, $5, $10, if 100 people do that, goes a long way. But for those who can give a little bit more, please do try. Is there any messages beyond what we kind of already talked about that is really important to all three of you that you would like to have out there as it relates to the film?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that brought me to the film was I'm a parent of mixed children, so understanding what they're experiencing through the film is kind of meaningful. I guess it makes my language. So to try to understand what they're experiencing as mixed race kids was a big part of the reason why I joined this project. But on the campaign front, if people just follow on Seed and Spark, if they're not able to donate or whatever, if you can just follow us on Seed and Spark, if we hit a certain number of followers through the platform, it opens up opportunities within the platform for like little fees and
Okay.
Yeah,
That would be great.
Awesome. Would be great.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, for me, I approach this project from so many different perspectives. From the fact that I'm a Vietnamese American, and even though I'm not Filipino, Uh, I've lived my whole life actually getting mistaken as Filipino through
Same.
Filipinos and Vietnamese. We present as we are, right? But the story is quite universal in terms of being in this in between space, which I think is so important. And so, anybody who's had that experience of not quite being seen fully, this is that type of project that we hope will give you a little bit of that affirmation that, hey, other people feel this way, and it really does have a voice and prompts conversation. So I think these
Right.
type of things are so important, and these type of things aren't necessarily getting told through these big budget productions.
Right.
So they only happen through the folks out there that can support us. Sure, uh, following the project, sharing it on your guys' social medias, contributing even just a bit helps so much. And I myself, I've been following a lot of different types of projects on Seed and Spark, and I know that it's a trying time financially for many folks. But I was like, oh, until the campaign it wraps, that's when they pull the funds. So I was like, today actually, I was like, oh, I kind of want to follow this other project, and it won't pull the funds until the end of the campaign. So it's nice for me to kind of go like, all right, by that time I'll have this saved. But it's really helpful for anybody to just you know follow the project, even put the funds out now, and know that I think our campaign doesn't wrap until the 6th of November. So if
Okay.
paydays into the 6th, you're good until then.
Yeah.
Um,
It,
so
it might not hit exactly at midnight anyway, so
yeah, you're
maybe.
you're fine. Yeah, but it's so appreciated. You guys have no idea how much it means for us to, check in and see like, hey, that percentage is going up, and we're hoping that it continues to move up, and we've got some great updates to share in the coming weeks. So the only way you'll be able to hear about that is by being one of our sponsors.
Right. And community is everything for any of us that have lived in whatever is not considered the mainstream. We thrive a lot better when there's people that understand our experience with us, and so not just to help us feel comfortable, but also to support our projects. Because, like you said, George, our stories don't get told in the mainstream very often, or if they are told, they're not told authentically. And so any opportunity for us to tell our own stories, Militantly Mixed is like that as well, for us, by us, about us. So I'm really grateful that you all are telling this story, and grateful to have the opportunity to be able to share your story with the people who listen to Militantly Mixed. This is going to be aired on the show in addition to sitting on my Instagram as well. So hopefully there'll be multiple chances for people to listen to it. If anybody in the comments right now would like to drop a question, feel free. We have a few more minutes while we're in here. But before we do that, is there any things that y'all just really want to get out and you want to make sure that people hear about the film or the funding?
Yeah.
Oh, were you gonna say something, George?
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay, I guess I wanted to actually answer your question, Sharmane, which is that I had this conversation with a producer friend of mine, maybe like last month or something, about a flaw that I guess that has emerged since Crazy Rich Asians came out 7 years ago, where like the positive is that there's been so many other works in Hollywood that have been greenlit that are led by Asian Americans or have Asian Americans working scenes, right? Which is great. But now I feel like there's a shift in the audience where it's like if it's not getting the special treatment from Gold House, then it's not legit enough to support. Which I really think that's a very toxic mindset to go about it because, as you were saying, Charmaine, not all stories in the mainstream are told correctly, if at all.
Yeah.
So, like, really, if you want more authentic stories like the one that we're telling to be told, you have to put your money where your mouth is, which is why
Right.
we're having this campaign. And one other thing I want to mention, I was talking about this with a different friend of mine just a few hours ago, which is that there was a part of me that was worried that maybe this story would be irrelevant at this point, just because it has been a while now since we last saw anti-Asian hate be addressed in the news as it is, where it was stemming from the fact that COVID has been going around. I was starting to think that maybe there wouldn't be anything to gain by telling the story. But given current events, I feel like there's a place for the story, even if the quote reason has changed. And
Sure.
Derek and George already know this, but just last Tuesday, a friend of mine was abducted by ICE in Dallas, Texas. He's Filipino American. He is not undocumented. He is a DACA recipient, and he has no criminal record. He was taken for no reason. And so when I see things like that I'm being directly affected by something like that, I realize that this story is still just as relevant, even if the core, again, quote, reasoning for it has changed. Anti-Asian hate is still happening.
Still haven't. I mean, even just a couple weeks ago, all the Korean workers in the Hyundai plant in Georgia were kidnapped at work. You know, I mean, so it isn't going away. It might have a different title. It might have different PR, but it's always in existence. And, you know, media lives on. So if the story might not be immediately relevant, it doesn't mean that we're not going to go back and watch it or watch something that might have been from the past or anything like that. So I would say our stories are important to tell no matter when. Just we have to tell it, and we have to get those out. George, did you have one too?
Yeah, I wanted to say that it's definitely been a journey in terms of reading the script and seeing it evolve, and you know, not only wanting to tell a story and to elevate these voices, but also to provide this space for us to learn. And what's been very encouraging is there's been some great support, and I want to see that support continue through these folks that can lend themselves to the funds to make it happen. And these funds are going towards all the creatives behind it. I was very encouraged because we've got an incredible cast. We haven't had a chance to talk too much about that, but our cast is predominantly Asian Americans, some of them mixed race as well. And Lauren, you might be able to talk a little bit about some of your picks that we've had in these roles. But I'm so excited for folks to be able to learn a little about those creatives that are contributing to it.
Oh, Derek, were you or should I talk about the cast?
Derek is much behind the scenes. You know, he does all of the work that is rarely seen but definitely noticed.
Right. That's funny. Yeah, let's talk about the cast.
Yeah.
So, okay. We have a predominantly Asian American cast. It only seems right, and and like all of them I'm really excited for. They all had really stellar auditions. They all brought something different to the table that we can work with and fuse their voice to become who they're playing. And yeah, it's just really exciting just to get to see their pictures all lined up together and being like, that's the cast. So, like, for instance, the character Rhea will be voiced by Jules Aurora, who is a Filipino American actor, singer, model, quadruple threat, I think. Derek recommended her. I'm actually surprised I never heard of her because she's been in the YouTube space for years. But as I'm starting to learn more about her now, I'm really excited to see what she's going to bring as Rhea. And then it's a cast of 5. And one other that comes to mind right now would be Amy Hill, who will be voicing a character named Anna. And if you're familiar, if the name doesn't sound familiar, her face definitely will be, because she's been in everything. From 50 First Dates to recently as Tutu in the live-action Lilo and Stitch. We were very fortunate to get her thanks to a friend of mine who happens to know her. And I'm even more excited, especially since I'm actually in Honolulu right now and we'll be meeting her in person tomorrow.
Yay!
It'll be really exciting getting to meet one of the cast members for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, honestly, that's one of the beauties of having this go to be animation rather than live action, which I know we didn't talk too much about, is that, like, it opens the scope for talent from all over the place. So, like, we have Nikki's based in Honolulu, we have Jules and Sulin and Kieran, who are based in LA. We have Rob, who's in the Bay Area. And they're all going to come together to bring this story to life. So I'm very excited for it.
That's
I
great.
know that when we were in the casting process, one of the things that kept coming up, even with the people that we ended up not going with, was that the script itself really spoke to them. Wherever they sat on the side of it, and they wanted to be a part of the show. So to me, that was like a good affirmation of why we're doing the project, right? And when we brought outsiders in to read the project, to see the project, and they were just as excited as we are.
That's great. All right, well, we are getting a little bit close to the end of it. So one more time, I will say, is there anything last minute things you want to say, or we just want to share the social media so that folks know how to find y'all?
Yeah, share.
Share.
I was thinking about how again I'm part of the animation team, and I love talking about animation because for me it's one of the ways that we really get to connect on a broader level, right? When you see an animated character, it's not so much, that's that actor that I've seen. It's more of, well, I can see myself in this character, or I see my friend or my sister or whoever. And that's one of the things that I wanted, for there to be a little bit of this universality when these characters are shown on the screen. So I'm excited for that aspect of it. I hope folks that, maybe, immediately don't necessarily respond to a mixed race story can at least appreciate the animation, and then that opens up these conversations. So that's one of the main reasons that we went that route. So
Yeah.
animation takes time, but I hope all of you guys do enjoy it.
I can't wait to see it, honestly.
Yay.
Us
Do you, yeah, like us too, really. It's a fantasy for a long time. Now it's time for reality. Let's get your social media handle so that people can follow you and follow the campaign.
Okay, so if you want to follow the social media, specifically Disarm, you want to go at Disarm_short. We have, that's an Instagram handle, by the way.
Okay.
That's where you want to go if you want to get updates. But if you want to get more specific updates, please pledge to the Seed and Spark campaign.
Right.
And again, even if you don't have the means to do it right now, that's totally fine. All I ask is if you please share it with your network. I will say it over and over again until I'm blue in the face. Share the link with your networks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for my social media, on Instagram. I'm on Instagram at Ako Lauren Lola. Similar handle for Blue Sky, and I'm also on Substack. It's my name on there as well.
All right.
I'll go next. I'm on IG as at Wakasashe. And you can see some of my art there, see some of my walk and talks that I like to do, covering a range of discussions. And I'll actually put the link to the Seed and Spark here in the chat for folks if you haven't visited yet.
Awesome. I'm also on IG. I'm on a bunch of other platforms as well, but I mainly use Instagram. And my handle is at edit.ninja.
Awesome. All right, I will put a link in the replay of this in the comments so that everybody knows how to get to the Seed and Spark, but also I assume it's in all of your bios as well. So if you can follow everybody that you got to see today, as well as the Disarm Instagram, or go directly to Seed and Spark. You can even just search Disarm if you don't see the link, so that you can go ahead and make your pledge, and that way you get the more specific updates versus the public ones that'll be on Disarm's Instagram. And this will also be on, I'll drop it onto the podcast this week, and I'll also put it on the YouTube channel too. So hopefully the cousins will come through for y'all. Thank you so much for joining me on this Instagram Live. I will be paying a lot of attention to the film as it is developing, and I can't wait to get a chance to see it also. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having during your hiatus.
Yeah,
we really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, this timing, it didn't matter that I was on a break. You guys, you're doing your campaign right now, so it's time to share.
Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And
All right.
thanks to everybody out there as well.
Thank you.
See you
All
guys
right.
soon.
See y'all. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Militantly Mixed is a Main Hustle Media podcast, produced and hosted by me, Sharmane Fury. Music is by David Bogan, the One. Please follow us on social media, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Militantly Mixed. If you'd like to become a Patreon of Militantly Mixed, please go to patreon.com/Sharmane Fury for a monthly sponsorship or paypal.me/militantlymixed for a one-time only donation. And if you like what you hear on Militantly Mixed, please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to be your mixed-ass self. Main Hustle Media. Turn your side hustle into your main hustle.